So Mikey started screaming, "You ain't doing that shit, blah, blah, blah." When Mikey went to lunch, I told Red, let's go back up. And Jose was like, let's go back up. And we went back up and we hit it. It's okay to be different, man.
They had Red out of there. I was countering it.
Johnny Kashmere, Trent Acid are so important to me and my brother's lives and careers. Mike Verna is the craziest man in the planet. A lot of the biggest names in wrestling went through Verna Locker.
I'm just like so much in my element and so more comfortable in myself and what I do. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to actually, manage Homicide. I've done manage the top Puerto Rican wrestler in the world and Rican tag team in the world.
The change was us. It was this trifecta. It was the Backseat Boyz, Briscoes, and SAT.
Back in the days, they used to be called the SATs. Now they're called La Casa.
They offered us a contract, the shittiest contract in the world, but I signed it because there was nothing else, what I mean, at the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, hosted by Coach C, Chris Sanders, this is Best for Business.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Another episode of Best for Business, man. When I started this podcast, this was something I was never going to expect. 3 guests, Joel, Skillz, and Tony. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us, man. Thank you for having us.
I am
pumped. In the building.
I am pumped for this one. Now, Skillz, recently, I've been hearing you every week on the SPOcast, man. So to have you on a different podcast, man, thank you for doing this.
Yo, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. So
one thing that pops up, Joel, when I think of you guys, the SAT, no matter what, is innovator and creator. But I'm curious, man, when you first started pro wrestling, it was obviously a different time. Walk me through why you wanted to start and learning pro wrestling.
It was something that me and my little brothers fell in love with at first sight. Started in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch cartoons like that, or I'm not into music. I was just into just wrestling. It always felt like a calling for me. So that's why we got to bless the wrestling world and all these wrestlers out there making a living with a lot of the moves that we made up.
Yeah,
it was a calling that I had, So we're put here to just shape up the wrestling business in a way.
Yeah.
And that's how it all went down. It was something that I've always felt like it was a call for us. It was just meant to be.
Now, you wrestled in Puerto Rico?
I wrestled in Puerto Rico after I became professional.
So talk about learning wrestling in Puerto Rico. What would you say is like a strong point wrestling there compared to here?
Well, the strong point is that every Puerto Rican over there, if there's 100 in the crowd, 99 of them believe it's real, right? As real as it can get.
Yeah.
And they into it and every story. So the wrestlers don't really have to do the bang bang, style that they do here, that they have to go harder because there's always a better wrestler, so wrestlers level up. So if they see somebody they like in the locker room and they're having a match and they know that those two are going to have a killer match, they're going to try to go all out themselves. So it's more of a competition here than over there, knowing that a punch means 100 moonsaults over there in Puerto Rico. You know what I mean? So style is really old school. It's still like that right now today. But it's a great place for wrestlers like me when we first started and we were doing all that spot monkey stuff. That's what they used to call us.
Mm-hmm.
When we went to Puerto Rico, we were forced to slow down because nobody works that fast. It's not about that over there. Yeah. So it's amazing. All you wrestlers in New York City, start reaching out to Savio Vega. They open up the IWA again and get yourselves over there, man. That's something good to have under your belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So another thing I'm curious that sticks out in the SAT, what was like the idea behind the jumpsuits when you guys wrestled? Because you don't really see those in pro wrestling, and you guys had different versions and everything.
Yeah. So the reason why we brought out the jumpsuits is because we wanted to look more street than anything else.
Yeah.
And in class, we got trained by Mikey Whipwreck at the House of Hard. That was the ECW school in Deer Park, Long Island. There was 5 of us in there. It was Quiet Storm, Chris Divine, Amazing Red, Jose, and myself, with Brian Excel joining later on from my group, So going back to the ECW style, right? And how, I lost myself there. Where we were going with this?
The jumpsuits.
Oh, so yeah. So Mikey told us that that we look like garbage men a lot of times. My trainer, he's like garbage man, right? So I decided to put jumpsuits on us and just throw the SAT in the back, and make ourselves look different. You know, we got in a lot of trouble back then because a lot of companies didn't like wrestling gear, so we got pushed away from a lot of shows because that was our gear.
Yeah. So one name you mentioned was Mikey Whipwreck. So I'm curious, whether it was in the ring or outside the ring, what would you say like are the biggest lessons you learned from him?
Everything. Everything. From footing to right before we got to Mikey, we were training with Super Aguila from AAA Mexico in an abandoned church in Brooklyn. Me, Jose, Red, Quiet Storm, Chris Divine, Brian said we were all up in there doing lucha style, right? So we got taught how to do everything with the right hand instead of the left hand. So when we got to the House of Hardcore with Mikey Whipwreck, it's like restarting everything over. He didn't allow us to do anything with the right. His footing is perfect. I mean, he's just a tremendous wrestler, and he gives you on TV what he wants to give you, but like behind the scenes, he's a beast, So we learn, and I told you it was a calling for us. So we'll go there like no lie, like at 2 PM, and we'll sneak in back like at midnight and get out of there like 4 AM. So we did that shit for like years.
Yeah.
So because we wanted to learn everything, not just the high flying stuff, but the technical stuff. So I learned everything from Mikey Whipwreck.
Nice. Yeah.
He's the reason there's like 100 awesome superstars in New York City.
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, it was completely mind-blowing when you said about doing this podcast. So I'm truly grateful that you said it. So I asked you originally some of the things you want to talk about. So I'm curious, walk me through like when pro wrestling, it's hard to say like the first. So walk me through like the creation of specifically the Spanish Fly, but a lot of the other moves that you guys did.
The Spanish Fly. I told Skillz this, right? I was messing around with my little brother, his G.I. Joes, and I clicked the two G.I. Joes together and I flipped them on my lap.
I love it.
I looked at Jose and I was like, when we go to practice, we're gonna do a double moonsault from the top rope. We got to practice. We hooked it on Chris Divine, and when we went to take off, true story, my brother's foot slipped and he landed straight on his head and he broke his nose. So Mikey started screaming, "You ain't doing that shit!" Blah blah blah. When Mikey went to lunch, I told Red, "Let's go back up," and Jose was like, "Let's go back up," and we went back up and we hit it in practice. That was at the ECW school in Deer Park, and we hit it like 100 times that day. So the guys kept going up so they could take it, and we created around. It was 1999, yeah, and then I brought it out at CZW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So CZW is another thing. Now we see the photos and the videos, but I don't think they do justice. What was like the CZW atmosphere like at the time when you first started there?
It was everybody else's ECW.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. Because I was just doing ring crew in ECW and curtain call matches, nothing else. So I never really got to be on ECW TV. At the time that we graduated from that school, ECW was already going down. I mean, I actually was at the last show at the Elks Lodge in Queens Boulevard. I was right there that day with Tajiri flipped out. So CZW had that feeling, man. And CZW, man, to tell you the truth, they could have been probably what GCW is now, or probably bigger at the time because they had a group of guys that wanted the same thing. They didn't give a shit about going like to WWE or TNA or Japan. It was one mind set for a group of guys, and they made that company pop, especially around 2001 to 2006. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They sold out every ECW arena show. It was insane.
Yeah. So another thing I'm curious about, you've got to do a lot of your career with your brother. So what does that mean to you? Because in pro wrestling, sometimes they start in pro wrestling as family and then things might happen. But you guys have gone strong for years. So what's the secret?
We fight behind the scenes. And Skillz gets in between. That's it. I love my brothers, man. I'm proud that they freaking rolled all the way to where they stopped just 2 years ago. Life is real and shit happens. But yeah, we stuck it through, man. We kept
Yeah.
it. We never turned against each other and all that crap. So yeah, at least we got to wrestle together. We got to wrestle Jay Briscoe's one of his final matches at Big Time Wrestling, and we got to wrestle the Hardy Boys together, me and Jose. So that shit is crazy, you know.
Yeah.
We
Do you have
accomplished a lot.
any? Do you have any Briscoe stories that stand out?
The Briscoes' first CZW match was our first CZW match.
Wow, nice.
We met in 2001. The second show we went to Seward, New Jersey for a CZW show. They invited us to the farm, and then we went over there, and we did not come back to New York for a month. We stood over there because they had a ring. They had a ring and everything.
Yeah.
And we became boys, man. We were traveling all over the world together. They are my brothers in the wrestling business. I mean, our families know each other. Our mothers, our fathers. It's different, you know?
Yeah.
So, man.
So one match of your career that sticks out to me, I'm curious if you have any stories from Ring of Honor, Round Robin 2002, is it? 3:30. It's Eddie Guerrero and Amazing Red versus the SAT. So tell me about that one, man. That must have been special.
That was special. That was the start of the relationship between us and the Guerreros, you know?
Nice. Yeah.
Well, Eddie chose that match. He was watching Ring of Honor, and we were the only Latinos coming up and standing out in the, in that Mexican style of lucha. And he asked for the match, and then Rob and Doug, rest in peace, they came in to tell us that, yo, you're about to wrestle Red, because we were doing a story that Red kept getting partners and we kept beating them. And that was the story that Ring of Honor was doing. He even ended up tagging with Mikey Whipwreck.
Yeah.
And they brought in Eddie. And man, shit, you saw the match. Shit, it's a classic match. They don't play it enough, I'm telling you. But that match was awesome, bro. Yeah. And we got tight. I ended up in Laredo, Texas. In Laredo, Texas, training with the girls for a couple of months with my brother. Every time we went to do MLW in Orlando, at times when Eddie was off, when they were all in Florida, he'll pick us up. He was the man.
Yeah.
And I got to get close with Chavo and his father, rest in peace, and that's how we started bonding our families, the Maximos and the Guerreros.
Yes. So you talk about the Maximos and the Guerreros having that connection. So what was it like teaming with Chavo Guerrero? I see the photo all over social media. He got his own jumpsuit too. Yeah.
Chavo's family, man, and nice. He feels like that. He when we told him about the idea of the jumpsuit, he loved it. Yeah. I was like, we use the SAT with the Mexican colors. He's like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chavito, man, Chavo, in my opinion, should be the WWE World Champion. Twice over already.
Yeah. So another thing that sticks out when I was looking at your resume, it kept going and going, but I'm curious, what was it like wrestling for the early days of MLW?
The early days of MLW were everything to us because MLW was doing things with Japan, and that's where we wanted to go. This is how it happened. Quiet story. Amazing Red got booked to wrestle Super Crazy. We were on book, me and my brother. And Court just recently heard about us because it was like a week before that we sent the link. I mean, we sent them a DVD at the time.
Old school, love it.
So he could watch our matches from Ring of Honor and stuff like that. And we showed up to the Homicide Ballroom. And Dick Togo, Hidaka, and Christopher Daniels' opponents didn't make the flights. So me, Jose, and Quiet Storm were in the building without gear. And then he was like, I'm just gonna give you a shot. I shouldn't. I don't know you guys like that, but I trust that everybody's saying that that good. And we went out there and we fucking destroyed that place. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome, man. Because right from there we went to 0-1.
Yeah, that's right.
You saw the match?
I was looking up research. I was doing cage match, and then I watched this morning. I must have watched 2-3 hours worth of your match.
So a real little story in there. Dick Togo is one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. Like I grew up watching on Toryumon and Big Japan and Hustle, all those Japanese shows, right? Wrestling. So Dick Togo always stood out to me because he was chubby like me.
Yeah.
And he used to do all the backflips and stuff like me. So I got to tell him that, obviously. We wrestled and we broke his ankle. I broke his ankle the same match.
Wow.
With Spanish Fly.
Wow. What did he land wrong?
Yeah, he kept his knee up and I landed just in top of him, man. And while he's screaming, I'm like, my career's over. It's done. I'm
Yeah.
never gonna get to go to Japan. It's Dick Togo, and but he sucked it up. He's a man.
Yeah. So in a little bit, I'm going to ask Skillz about currently working for SPO Wrestling. However, before SPO Wrestling, there was Pro Wrestling Unplugged. So do you have any stories of wrestling there or Johnny Kashmere stories?
Johnny Kashmere
Yeah.
and Trent Acid are so important to me and my brother's lives and careers in pro wrestling. I say it all the time. Johnny's a mentor to me. He told me a lot of the road stories that nobody else wanted to tell us. I mean, when we got to CZW, Johnny Kashmere and Trent Acid took us under the wing. They were like, hey, we're going to go to North Carolina. This is promoter named Jackie. She's going to pay for your shit. And we're like, fuck it. Yeah, we want to make money, right? So
Yeah.
boom, we started taking car rides from Philly to North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Oh my God, it's the Backseat Boyz, SAT, everywhere. And then we started bringing in the Briscoe brothers, Quiet Storm, Red, Chris Divine. So we made sort of a click with them, man. And working with Johnny and PW was so cool. It was like every wrestler, I swear everything wanted to go work over there because it was just fun. They had food, they had drinks, all the boys could work. It was like there was no egos there. You know, Todd Gordon, he's a fucking man. Todd Gordon should be also working somewhere big. I don't understand this. Also a great mind in professional wrestling. And man, he's the man, man. You guys Todd Gordon about his time. He's another mentor of ours. So Johnny Kashmere, man, you piece of shit.
I'm curious, when it talks about the Backseat Boyz,
Johnny Kashmere.
What would you say is like one of the biggest things wrestling Johnny and Trent compared to now Tommy and JP?
Man, they're so similar. It's not even funny, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Sometimes they give me goosebumps when they're walking around and they look. It's like it's Trent and Johnny. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, that, like I said, some people are just called for it. It's like you can't reincarnate things like that, you know. And when people try to do other gimmicks, it never works out. But this right here is special. They're the Backseat Boyz to me, just like their mentors, my guys, Johnny and Trent. You know what I mean? But I mean, come on, being with Johnny, you can't go wrong. In the tag team, that's what he does.
Yeah. So another guy I'm curious about, I believe you had your hand in training him. Do you have any Mike Verna stories?
A lot of stories from Mike Verna.
Yeah.
Mike Verna is the craziest man in the planet, that's first off.
Yeah.
He's a fast learner, one of the best students I ever had. Never gave me a fucking problem paying dues monthly, nothing. He understood all that shit. And I wish him back, man.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Mike Verna stories. I mean, let it get back to me. I'm gonna tell you, Verna.
So speaking of memories, one of the matches I was watching earlier today of yours, do you have any? Because you wrestled different versions of the Special K.
Oh man, we wrestled all of them. Jay Lethal was in there. I wrestled Jay Lethal like maybe 40 times on my life while he was Special K. Yeah. Asriel, who else was in there? Cloudy.
Yeah, Dixie.
There was like 14. Insane Dragon, which he was freaking amazing. Shit. Yeah, I wrestled all of them in like 100 matches in Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Wasn't at one point like, were you at Ring of Honor at the time where they were at like 20 members deep probably?
Yeah, with Mercury. Yeah. Mercury was in it too. Who else? Slim J.
The list keeps going and going.
Yeah, but we gave Cloudy a washing machine. Man, our tag team, he got knocked out. We sent him to the hospital that day because he was so light.
Yeah,
it was crazy. The range, he ate it. The range ate it, but he could have gone to the hospital from that too.
Yeah,
yeah, they were all light, bro.
Yeah,
lightweight, and we were just throwing them around.
Yeah. So when we talk Ring of Honor, that was one of the things. So back in the day, Ring of Honor was like that place to be. It was like, it had that fan base, sort of like CZW in a way, but everyone wanted to work for Ring of Honor. That was the company. So for you guys, how did the opportunity come to be?
All right. So we took a ride to Georgia. Rob Feinstein and Doug Gentry, rest in peace. They used to help us out with some bookings at times because they wanted to show our skills. And then the deal was, you know, Rob and Doug always put everything on tape, so we wanted them to record us because we wanted to get our shit out there. So they helped us out in a lot of ways. And we were driving out to Dusty Rose promotion. We stopped at Abdullah the Butcher's restaurant.
Wow.
And then we stopped at Goldust school, Dustin's school. We hung out, we talked to them because of Rob. And then they took us to Dusty Rose promotion where Steve Corino was there. Steve Corino was a big part of our wrestling career too. He's the one that helped us get to Japan. And we got to Dusty Rose promotion. We did it, and we heading back to the hotel. And Rob Feinstein was saying that he wanted to open a promotion now that he has a business with video cassettes and tapes in the wrestling business. So it only makes sense, right? So Amazing Red was there, me, my brother Quiet Storm, him. I believe Brian Sell was there too. And we started just pitching out ideas about calling promotion. I kid you not, bro. Ring of Honor was a name that we came up with. I know Rob gets mad, but it's the truth. The color on the rings, the red and black split, it was all red. Red was talking about the whole Japan thing and making it like that with the turnbuckle pass that they had for a while.
Yeah, the long like Japan,
yeah, just like Japan. And regardless of the fact, man, we didn't give a shit about our names or nothing. We just wanted to work. Rob did that. It was his money. He opened the company, did this shit, and they started catching a fan base quick on just VHS tapes.
Yeah.
So it did help out that Rob had that open market to around the States because Ring of Honor tapes started selling through there. So more eyes were on it. So when they went to a different town, they were selling out. I mean, it was big crowds, and a lot of the biggest names in wrestling went through Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
I saw AJ Styles come in. I was there from first show to 2006 when we got into a big fight when they let us go.
Wow.
Yeah, because of the scramble tags, you know, the scramble tag team matches.
Yeah.
That's my invention. Something that I wanted to bring into the table. They allow me to do all these mixed tag team matches with two in each corner. So I got really creative doing crazy shit in it, right? Like the Tower of Doom, you know, I made that up too.
Yeah.
So these are moves that I see them now on TV, and it's like, I know I ain't getting a dime for that shit, but it's so crazy that it came out of me. You know what I mean? It's gonna go on forever. The Canadian Destroyer and Spanish Fly, all that shit, you name it, man. We done it. We invented it.
Yeah.
And that's how it went. That's how everything started unfolding for us.
Yeah. So there was another match I wanted to ask you about. Now, this one was for, I believe it was TNA, and I think it was NWA combined. It was like the early days of the X-Division. I believe it was you against your brother, Jimmy Rave, Tony Mamaluke, Shark Boy. Does that match ring a bell for you?
Yeah, of course.
What was it like being a part of the early TNA X-Division? Yeah,
so for that, also Red went in first. He went on a Wednesday. It was he left on a Monday because it was a Wednesday pay-per-view shows. Remember that? It was just Wednesdays. And then when he got there, we got a call from Jeff Jarrett, and he was like, "Hey, I sent for one. I want to send for the others, and will you guys mind coming down next week?" But they weren't paying flights or nothing, so we jumped on a Greyhound all the way from New York all the way to fucking Tennessee. And we got there. We did our match against the Flying Elvises. We did a 6-man for my first match there. And then they offered us a contract, the shittiest contract in the world, but I signed it because there was nothing else. You know what I mean? At the time, a contract, we were like 18, 17.
That's the dream at that age.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I love working. That match was awesome.
Yeah.
They had us in a lot of mixed tag team matches because they have so much talent over there that they'll just mix up tag team matches. I ended up wrestling my brother like 20 times.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But I got close to Kick Cash. That's my boy. And I met, AJ Styles and the guys that were there at the time that were from Ring of Honor and TNA.
Yeah. So I'm curious right now. On the call, we have you and we have Skillz. So how did this partnership start? What was your first interaction with Skillz?
So Skillz is my cousin, and he's always been into the wrestling business.
Nice.
But he's always been in the side.
Yeah.
He's smart with his stuff because he's been picking up and learning for a long time. Actually, Skillz was helping a lot of professional wrestlers here in New York getting on shows and getting the big way, you know, because he loves the sport and he sees talent. So, long story short, I started the company with Jose, and we went out to Skillz to see if he wanted to do something with us, and we started doing our shit with Win, and here we are. It's getting better and better and better.
So Skillz, was there like a moment or something that made you want to be involved in pro wrestling?
Well, I grew up, you know, my whole life watching pro
Yeah.
wrestling, you know, and everything. So when Joel gave me the opportunity to join the SAT, you know, I couldn't say no to that.
Nice.
Well, even if I wanted to, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just couldn't say no.
It was like a perfect match, though, man. You know, the SAT always had like, we never had managers, so I was like, now this time around, my brother's like, let's just go, let's do a big brazy run, you know, and we did. We did like a couple of WWE matches. We did a whole bunch of GCW pay-per-views. We came in pretty nice, you know, wrestling guys like Marcus Mathers, all the young guys, you know, which we wanted to wrestle. Gringo Loco, my brother, and all those dudes, man, that I wanted to work and to see if we still had it, bro. Man, we still got it, bro.
Yeah.
So being with Skillz gave us a different look, and then I was like, yo, I'm gonna have us come out with Spa Monkeys because that's what people called us our whole life.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
They were like, you crazy for real, and we just made it click. It's SAT, Jose, Will, Joel, Skillz, and the Spa Monkeys, and it's just a thing. It's our thing.
Yeah. So we talk about all of the moves and stuff that you've been a part of and created. Where do you think like your mindset and like your ideas and your inspiration comes from?
I wish I knew, you know that?
Yeah.
I mean, half of the time, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and wife, I'm a kid, I'm working, but half of my day is always in wrestling. I always been like that. Maybe a little autistic on it, because I just get really, really creative with stuff. When I go to wrestling shows, I just start making shit up for people, and they just start doing them. So yeah, I don't know. I wish to use this more into the company I'm running now, and and if Triple H sees me, yo, that's your boys about me. Petey Williams.
So Skillz, I'm curious, since being a part of the SAT, is there a match or moment or something that's really stuck out being a part of him?
To be honest with you, is the whole experience. You know what I mean? It's every time I'm with Joel, or it's not one thing. It's not one thing that stands out. It's actually the whole ride. The whole ride has been incredible. We did some amazing things. So yeah, it's not really a particular thing. Nah, I don't have a particular thing. Yeah. Anytime I get on the phone or talk to Joel or talk to Jose and just you know, see what they're thinking about, it's just crazy talking to these guys. It's something exciting all the time.
So when we talk about that first match that you got to manage, so your most recent, how would you say Skillz Da Great as a manager has evolved?
Yeah, so no, it's a big difference. You know, my first match, you know, the lights, you know, just I was out there in the headlights.
Yeah.
So, you know, people couldn't notice it, but I was, and I can tell, you know what I mean? Right now, I'm just like so much in my element and so more comfortable in myself and what I do. So it's just, yeah, it's a 180.
Yeah. So So we're talking about SPO Wrestling now. What was it like to be a part of the first ever SPO main event where you got to manage Homicide against Johnny Kashmere? Because the first ever Pro Wrestling Unplugged main event, Homicide beat Trent Acid. So that's a full circle moment right there.
Yeah, that's definitely an honor and a privilege to actually, you know, manage Homicide. So, you know, me, I'm Puerto Rican. Of course, you see me with the big Puerto Rican flag. So I like to say I done managed the top Puerto Rican wrestler in the world and the top tag team, Puerto Rican tag team in the world. So when it comes to the Puerto Ricans, I done hit the mountaintop already. So, but no, it was amazing. That working at SPO, shout out to Johnny, the Backseat Boyz, Robbie Illuminati, them boys over there got something special at SPO. You know, it's almost like Win. It's like we're cousins over here. You know, it's run by the love for tag team.
Yeah.
You don't really see that. You know what I mean? So I feel like Win and SPO has the best tag team divisions by far.
Yeah. So when we talk about tag team skills, what's recently you guys are starting to manage? What is it, the Prospects?
Yes,
So
yes.
you talk
So
about
I took that into my own hands to manage the prospects. And the reason is that Johnny, he held a 2024 award ceremony for SPO. And he had manager of the year, and I wasn't even nominated or anything like that. And Dewey Donovan, he won the manager of the year. So that was cool and everything. No hating, but me, I managed the inaugural champion, Homicide. I got to manage Face and Shannon Decker, which became the heavyweight champions, right?
Yeah.
I had feuds with Sonny Kiss, Too Cold Scorpio, Johnny Kashmere himself. When Rick Blade came back.
I still can't believe that.
Yeah, so Rick Blade came back. I was feuding with Rick Blade. GQ, I was managing Joel for that little bit of time. So when GQ came back, he was doing his little thing with Joel there. So I by far had the best manager of 2024, right? But you know what? So I made a challenge to myself. I was like, I'm gonna manage a team that never won any titles, a young team that are still, learning the ropes.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab that. I'm going to bring them to the hardest organization where there is the tag team, because I'm not just bringing them to a rinky-dink organization where we could win the tag team. Come on, this is SPO. This is run by real tag teams, and the tag team champions are the Backseat Boyz. So I'm going to make it my goal to make these boys the SPO tag team champions.
Nice.
And I'm going to show everybody why I am the manager of champions, and why every year in SPO I will be the manager of the year. There's no space for anybody else.
So you talk about Skillz, all the moments you've had so far in SPO. Is there one that sticks out to you? Because you got to manage a lot, and you got to be across the ring from some of the best.
Well, to be honest with you, with Too Cold Scorpio, like being on the flyer on that, I just couldn't believe it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm just like with two legends right there. Like, that's when I knew it was real.
Yeah. So another thing I'm curious about, let's talk about Win Wrestling. So I'm curious, when Win Wrestling first started, what was, you say, the vision of Win Wrestling? What were the ideas behind it?
More storytelling.
Nice.
Yeah, so we actually really do run stories. They're monthly right now, but when people get there, they get familiar. So, and I like to bring out talent that hardly people see. So it's always fresh in the eye. I win. Yeah.
But the best talent when it comes at that, though. We find the best, freshest talent.
Yeah, we got some good news soon about some TV networks that we're working with, and hopefully get this, with more eyes on us, grow faster, and keep putting my efforts and my mind and my thoughts and my energy into what I got going on right now, which is Wrestling UnPlugged.
Nice. So Tony, you have anything?
Yeah, I'd say that, wrestling is now, in the next few years, we're going to work very hard to make it, I believe, the top wrestling school in the tri-state area. I think we have, that type of component where we can work hard and work hard with the students that we have now, and yes, make it the top wrestling school in the tri-state area, because we have, that legacy of the SATs like Joel Maximo. We have the great skill that Skillz has with his financial background, and I'm working now as commentary for Wrestling Is Now, and as a podcaster, informing a lot of people of the Bronx area about the company. So I think we could really revive the Bronx wrestling scene and a lot of the scene in Brooklyn and throughout the boroughs. I think
Tony, I love your attitude, bro, because that's exactly what me and Skillz want to start doing. We want to start touching new territory. We actually have we're growing, in our fan base is growing. I think this show is going to be, if not probably sold out. It's just the talk of the town.
Yeah.
We're running in mid Brooklyn. Are you coming, Chris?
Not for this one, no, but I will be there. Don't worry, I'll be there soon. When the unit comes back, I'll be down with them.
Hell yeah, bro! I can't wait to have the unit back, man.
Yeah,
can't wait to
I love
get
the
them back in the ring. Yeah.
So another thing I'm curious about, I know I talked about earlier for Skillz, how he's transformed as a manager, but since the start of Win Wrestling, how would you say Win has transformed from that first ever show you wanted to run, storylines was your goal, to where it is now today?
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Win, I feel like Win is very special.
Mm.
For the people out there listening, go visit your local wrestling that is run by a legendary wrestler. That is so important because there's a lot of promoters out there that never wrestled before. And, you know, the wrestlers come in, have their show, and, you know, everybody go home, everybody's happy. At Win is a different story. At Win, these wrestlers have something to prove. These wrestlers want to show Joel, like, hey, we can do it too. They grew up watching Joel on them DVDs, and they honored to be on the show. So at the end of the day, these guys bust their ass the same way they bust their ass in SPO. Yeah, I feel like they're right next to each other because it's run by Johnny. Then you got Joel, and it's like these guys just give it all, and you can see it in the show. It's just a big difference. They're not just running the motions, you know. They're really going in there, giving it their all.
Did you say the same, Joel?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Again, going back to Expo, it's pretty soon I'm gonna head over there. So I got Skillz back all the way, and Johnny knows that shit. And then me and Johnny gotta go to blow to blow. We're gonna go to blow to blow, brother.
We'll clip
Let's
that
go.
and we'll send that to him. So
Let's
another
go.
thing I'm curious about, Tony. So how did the approach for you to get a part of Win start?
So I actually met Joel and Skillz at a show at Ridgefield Park.
Nice.
And basically, I talked about how I wanted to expand my audience and I wanted to learn from them and be a part of their learning tree. And they were very grateful. And I'm blessed to be a part of Win because they were very positive in adding me into the company.
Let me add to that. Tony is I told to Skillz yesterday night, and I was telling him how necessary a man like Tony are, and this you can't find guys like this in wrestling. You cannot. He's you know, he's about the brand. He's all about he's about the brand, the goal, and the focus on everything that we got going on, and he doesn't twist, you know, or like divide his attention when we're talking about wrestling with anything else but what we're talking about. The target is wrestling is now, and that's what he goes for, man. Tony, I appreciate you, bro.
So for you, Tony, how did the commentary start?
So the commentary, I'm going to start commentary on the event of the March 8th event in the Brooklyn Soccer Roof. So it's going to be, I from what I've seen, a great event. We're going to have great matches starring Santana Jackson versus Dash, who is a impersonator. So I think that I had conversations with one of the future networks that are interested in streaming Win, and they went crazy when they heard about that match.
Everybody's having a reaction on that match, right, Skillz?
Oh, 100%.
Now was this like Dash and D1000 or Dash and D Weatherford back in the day?
Yeah, so Dash is my student.
Well, I remember. So when I first started, like I was so involved in wrestling that I was managing at like when I was in like 7th grade, and I remember once a month I used to be. He was a part of a faction with Brother Greatness, Omega Black it was called.
Those are all my students.
I love them, man. How are they all doing? How's Greg doing?
Greg Jones.
Yeah, that's crazy. Joel was just telling me about that.
Brother Greatness, Dashing DE, and Suntan.
Yeah.
Well, Greg is doing all right. I guess he's you know, Greg is he's a weird guy.
Yeah. So this past summer it was completely surreal. I got the opportunity to commentate for Beyond Wrestling Open, and the match I got to commentate with was with Brother Greatness, and like we just sat there and was like, bro, like this is insane. Like when I was in 7th grade managing, he was wrestling the match, I was one of them against him. So to have that moment was cool. I didn't even know that. Do you have any Omega Black stories? Because that was their faction at the time.
Man, we used to run those boys till they couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Hard working, yeah. So I think Greg Jones came up with that whole Omega Black thing. At first I found it a little racist because he was like, we're not gonna have nothing but black. And I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah.
And so Greg Jones was going with that story, but it just worked. It worked, man. People hated them as soon as they came out. They knew how to get heat, and you know, Brother Greatness and Suntan at the time was just a beast in the ring.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Greg Jones is really good in the ring, believe it or not. I tell that to everybody. He's a great worker in the ring.
Yeah.
And so is Dashing. Look at Dash right now. Dash is became a superstar.
Yeah.
Dash is
Superstar.
amazing.
He
He's
rules.
amazing.
He's a superstar, man. So yeah, Omega Black was students of mine for about 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. They even lived with me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of
So,
them did.
Joel, another thing I'm curious about as we're starting to wrap up, one thing I'm curious from your perspective, how has tag team wrestling evolved from when you first started wanting to be a part of wrestling to where it is now?
I mean, the thing is that, right? So I grew up watching the rock and roll, demolition. And believe it or not, I love high flying, but I was always the big guy, Marc. You know, I love Stan Hansen. I love Triple H. I love the big guys. So, Mike Awesome, which I got to become really, really good friends with. I was a big fan of Mike Awesome. So when we started doing that type of tag team wrestling, was Spot Monkey style, too fast, but as I was building it to where I saw it would go, and then seeing guys like Motor City Machine Guns and everybody else, the Young Bucks, everybody who came after us, doing that same style, like the Backseat Boys and Briscoes and SAT. I always say that our style is what it is now. The change was us. It was this trifecta. It was the Backseat Boys, Briscoes, and SAT changed the tag team style.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
well, I like it now, though. To answer your question, I love tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
Love it. I love tag team wrestling. So what it is right now is amazing. I think wrestling right now is at all times high. Is on some levels that I can't even catch up with.
And it's alive at win.
Yeah, it's so crazy, right? But it's such a wonderful thing, that we are considered now a big sport, not just a small sport. And tag team wrestling is good.
I think that you'll see a lot of great stories and matches between a lot of factions and a lot of tag teams. Like now, back in the days, they used to be called the SATs. Now they're called La Casa, which is Joel Maximo, Steve Pena, and Santos.
Oh, I love Pena.
Skillz.
Nice.
Huh?
I love Steve Pena.
Oh, yeah,
I used to draw him pictures all the time.
Steve Pena. Yo.
Yeah, that's the man. And you forgot Chavo Guerrero too, though.
And Chavo Guerrero as well, and also Tony Mark is La Casa, Papa.
Look at here. You gotta go to man. You gotta come see us. We gotta.
Well, but how lucky am I though? I get to be under the SAT, Homicide, Chavo Guerrero. Like, come on.
Yeah. So I'm curious, when we talk about Win Wrestling, we can start with whoever, but going into this year especially, what would you say are the big goals for Win Wrestling?
The big goals for Win Wrestling this year was to get us on a TV network that we like and that appreciates what we're doing. We're gonna start touching in different spots where some of them I can't talk about right now because we did sign some paperwork. Nice. So, but we will be expanding and touching new territories. There's a lot of things coming, a lot of fun stuff coming down. Wrestling is now, man. A lot of superstars coming out of our company. Rev Rum, Ted and Bailey. They remind me of just like early '90s wrestlers, man. You got to see them live. They're incredible. The Adasi, you know who they are? They're tag team champions right now. Those boys are they're awesome.
They're in a faction with Face.
Yeah, I hate that faction, but they're awesome tag team.
Now does Face? Face only wrestles for Win and SPO, right?
Face I think he's in Titan Championship Wrestling. He's in a few other places.
Nice. I want to smack the face out of his face.
Nice. Okay.
But I tell you what, Chris, he's a smart wrestler. And I'm not gonna use his youth as he's younger. He knows what he wants for his character, and I appreciate what he does. I just want to be his ass.
Yeah.
Interestingly, he's also known as a MILF hunter, which I always thought was fascinating.
Cares about what
Cougar Conqueror
women he likes. I don't care what he likes.
Skillz, what about you? Do you have goals for Win?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. We always trying to keep expanding, try to make the brand better. Like Like our main focus is to build our guys. We have a core of guys and we just keep building on them on up. And a lot of these companies, they like to use you know, a lot of famous people to come to draw and everything like that. We don't do that as much. We like to use our core people. Like we just about that. Every once in a while we'll throw you a little treat, but for the most part it's all about our talent and just keep pushing our talent.
Nice. Same with you, Tony?
I'd say that one of the things that I like about Win is, like Skillz said, I'll piggyback off of him. We do put a focus on storylines. Other wrestling companies, they bring in TV talent, they do the dream matches, which is nice. It's a nice thing to see. But we bring back the story back to professional wrestling, which lacks a lot in the indie level.
Yeah. So I want to thank you guys all three for taking the time to do this. However, this is going to be episode 48 when it drops, and I've ended every interview the same. So whoever wants to start, I will start with you, Tony, because you're just getting into pro wrestling. When the day it's done that Tony's decided he's all done with pro wrestling, what do you want your legacy to be in wrestling?
I'd say I would want my legacy to be one of the founding fathers of professional wrestling in Central America. That's one of my main goals, to run wrestling shows in Central America and a lot of Latin American countries that don't exist, that pro wrestling doesn't exist over there. And I'd say that Win is close to that. Win is close to that. I'd say that we would, in maybe the proximate next year, we would see a Win show in Central America very soon.
Nice. Skillz, when you talk about pro wrestling, when it's all said and done, it's not happening anytime soon. But what do you want Skillz Da Great's legacy in wrestling to be?
I just want to be great.
Yeah.
I want to do everything at a very high level and know that I did it and put it all out there. I just want to leave it all out there. I don't want to regret anything. So, you know, I just want to remember as one of the great ones, man. And very honored to be able to, under this learning tree of people that I have under these mentors. And, you know, it's priceless. I think I just have one of the best learning trees I could possibly learn from. And it's only up from here.
Yeah. And Joel, man, your resume keeps going and going. We're going to have to do a part 2 down the line, man. When it's all said and done for you, what do you want your legacy, or the SAT, or both? What do you want your legacy in wrestling to be?
My legacy, I want people to always know that it's okay to be different, man, and to go out there and be yourself and balls to the wall, man. It doesn't matter, because if you're scared to make something, then you'll never create anything. So I hope that Spanish Flies and Canadian Destroyers and all these crazy cool moves that we have done and we have brought to the wrestling world will continue to and I believe they will for 100 years more. And I just, you know, young wrestlers, man, get back. When you get to my age and you know that you see talent, don't hold them back, man. Take that talent, mold them up, and send them up. That's the legacy, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you three for doing this, man. It's completely surreal. I couldn't believe when you guys said thank you to doing this. It was an honor to get to pick your brains, man. We got to do a part 2 down the line.
Definitely, and I would love to have you on my podcast.
It'll be a feisty one. It'll be a feisty one. We'll start. I'll tell you some stories that'll get people pissed off.
We'll do the shoot interview. I love it.
All right, brother. Thank you for having me, Chris.
Thank you guys for doing this, and thank you everybody for watching this episode. This was Best for Business.